Snow drifted across the open plains like slow-falling ashes, each flake settling softly over the broken wagon, the scattered belongings, and the woman who knelt with her hands buried in her face. Eliza Hart had lost her husband only 3 months ago, and though grief had hollowed her out, she had carried on for the sake of her little girl. But the journey west had been crueler than expected. One wheel snapped in the middle of nowhere, their horse spooked and vanished into the storm, and the biting cold had chased the sun away long before she found shelter. She had wrapped her daughter in the last warm blanket she owned, praying the storm would pass, praying someone would come along this lonely trail. And someone did. A tall cowboy on a chestnut horse appeared out of the swirling white, his silhouette cutting through the storm like a promise she didn't dare trust. His name was Cole Branson, a rancher from the high valley 2 miles north, and the moment he dismounted and saw the woman and her sleeping child, something inside him shifted, something protective, something fierce, something he hadn't felt since losing his own family years ago. "Ma'am," he said gently, kneeling beside her. "You're not safe out here. Let me help you." Eliza's eyes lifted, red and swollen, flashing with a quiet kind of shame. She wasn't afraid of him. She had nothing left to lose. She only whispered, "We're fine. We'll manage." But the words trembled, and Cole knew she didn't believe them. He tucked his coat around her shoulders, his hands warm, steady, unhurried. "Storm's getting worse. You'll freeze before morning." She glanced at him again, at the confidence in his posture, at the kindness in his eyes, and it almost broke her. No one had looked at her like she mattered since before her husband fell ill, since long before widowhood had turned her into something fragile, something society pitied and forgot. Cole lifted her daughter carefully, cradling the little girl against his chest. "Let me take you both home," he said. "My ranch is close. You'll be warm and fed within the hour." Eliza pressed her hand to her mouth, swallowing a sob. She had been carrying the weight of survival alone for so long that help felt like danger, like hope, and she wasn't sure she could bear hope anymore. She finally nodded, and Cole helped her onto his horse, settling the child between them before climbing up behind. The ride was silent except for the whisper of wind and the soft thud of hooves through deep snow. Cole's arms were steady around them both, and for the first time in months, Eliza felt the faint outline of safety. When they reached his cabin, the hearth was already glowing, the scent of stew drifting through the warm air. Cole set the child by the fire, tucking blankets around her as if she were his own. Eliza stood awkwardly by the door, unsure where she belonged, unsure whether she belonged anywhere at all. Cole turned toward her, brushing snow from his hair. "Sit," he said softly. "Warm up. You don't owe me anything." She lowered herself onto a chair, but the heat seemed to melt something dangerous, something she'd been holding tight inside her chest. She whispered, "Why are you doing this?" Cole looked surprised by the question. "Because you need help. People don't help without wanting something," she murmured bitterly. "Not anymore." Cole knelt in front of her, his eyes level with hers. "I don't want anything from you. Just let me make sure you're safe." Those words, simple, unpolished, honest, unraveled her, thread by fragile thread. After dinner, when her little girl was asleep in the small spare room, Eliza stood by the window watching the storm ease. Cole approached quietly, stopping beside her but keeping a respectful distance. "Hasn't been easy for you," he said. She shook her head, staring at her own reflection, at the shadows beneath her eyes. "I don't deserve kindness," she whispered. "I don't deserve love, not after everything that's happened. Not after failing so much." Cole stiffened, then turned fully toward her. "Don't say that. It's true," she insisted softly, choking on the words. "All I bring is trouble. I don't deserve anyone's heart anymore." Cole stepped closer, slow enough for her to move away, only she didn't. His voice was low, steady, filled with a conviction she hadn't felt in herself for a long time. "You deserve love more than anyone. You deserve peace. You deserve a chance to start again." Eliza wiped her eyes, shaking her head. "No, I don't deserve." Cole gently lifted her chin so she would meet his eyes, and his next words shattered the last wall she'd been clinging to. "You don't just deserve love," he said. "You deserve me." The room went still, the storm outside quieting as if nature itself was listening. Eliza's breath caught. She wanted to run. She wanted to collapse. She wanted to believe him. "You don't even know me," she whispered. I know enough, Cole said. I know you're strong. You're brave. You kept going even when the world tried to break you. And I know you're worth standing beside, for as long as you'll let me. Tears finally spilled down her cheeks, hot and unstoppable. She didn't fall into his arms. She wasn't ready, but for the first time, she didn't step away. Cole didn't press further. He simply reached out, brushing a tear from her cheek with the back of his finger. You're not alone anymore, Eliza. Not tonight. Not ever again unless you choose to be. Outside, the storm lifted completely, moonlight spreading across the valley like a blessing. Inside, a woman who believed she deserved nothing found the first spark of a future she never thought she'd have. And a cowboy who'd sworn he'd never love again realized he'd already begun. And that night, in the quiet warmth of the ranch house, a new beginning took its first breath.